extraordinarily early. So Chovy, no excuse, please. Some coffee, my friend. As here we are into the champion select, and let's just hope that DRX figure this part of the game out a little bit better than they did in game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why at least the players in the room of DRX, especially Pioshik, don't look too disappointed with how that game went, because it was a you know, how the top lane snowballed away was kind of a domino effect where dominoes started to fall with you know, there was a clear ending, right, to how that game was going to work. The big snowball coming in because the draft didn't work as planned. Again, I personally really still do feel it was not a bad draft by any means for DRX. It just wasn't executed correctly, and they just banned the Camille this time. They're just not going to deal with it. They're just not going to have this crazy snowballing top laner to deal with. They're not going to try to draft around it. They're just going to play a completely different game 2 here.
I think that's smart. I think that getting rid of the Camille is a good idea. Nidalee going to be taken away here by Hanwha Life, and on the red side, it might be a little bit more difficult to get the same kind of draft victory that they got last game. So hopefully we have a bit more competitive of a draft as we move into this game. So DRX, one last ban. Let's see what it's going to be. Is I think the jungle pool needs to be addressed. I think Talia is just a little bit too strong at the same time, and she is going to be the one that gets hit on the noggin with the ban hammer.
Now, the Hanwha Life take away something like a Samira here. They remove the Olaf. 2 very strong blue side picks you can take here for DRX in this stage. Pantheon as well. Pantheon has, I think his 0-1 increase only been played once. Really, really high win rate in LPL. We'll see how that shakes out in the LCS now that's started up if he ever gets through the ban list. And not going to make it through this game, so we're going to have to keep wondering.
Nope. Well, Graves is available, but so is Olaf. And I think picking Graves with Olaf available is a really silly thing to do. So DRX are going to go ahead and do it. And we'll see whether Hanwha Life are going to just grab Graves and be happy. They don't... sorry, grab Graves. Grab Olaf and be happy. They could just take away their bottom lane if they'd like to. Kai'Sa is available, and they could just lock that one in and then grab Olaf later. But instead, they are just going to look at the Olaf right away.
Another option would have been to grab the Aphelios and Thresh combo, because Aphelios has been pretty banned. Today has risen in popularity a lot, but both open could have actually locked that duo in, even over the Kai'Sa if they wanted to. If that was something they wanted to play, I think they would have grabbed it here. But as you mentioned, they're just going to go towards the Olaf, the safe pick. Super easy to try to draft around this now. If it were reversed, you might see the Kindred from Pioshik. And part of the reason why I was talking about that Aphelios in this rotation is now DRX get it here, because you left it open and they have 2 slots to grab it. So all of this priority towards the jungle bans and the Camille leave the Aphelios open, which does give DRX this opportunity to have this really strong bot duo. And how they execute it again, though, that's the question we'll have to have answered as we head into game, because, again, smart draft, smart bot lane, but the execution is way more important than the draft.
Yeah, I like the set pickup here. I think that Kai'Sa set is a strong bottom lane and does perform a little bit better than a lot of other Kai'Sa lanes early. But also, you can flex the set into the top and mid lane if you would like to. So it keeps things a little bit more open as we head into this ban phase. And Hanwha Life Esports, they know that they can just take away solo laners, and they're going to get all of the value for those bans, whereas things still a little bit more up in the air over on the side of a DRX.
Azir taken away here. Can pair pretty well with the Thresh. And, you know, Solka has crossed the lines in the meta quite a few times and might want to play something a little bit more out of the box, not a control mage, where Chovy might just destroy him and dictate the pace of that mid lane. So I like that, trying to say, all right, I just want to play something standard where I know Chovy's going to win no matter what, probably. We'll see what he ends up picking here, but I think that's the idea here with this Azir ban.
I imagine something like Victor or Syndra will be banned here by Hanwha Life, and they'll aim for an Orianna pick here in R4.
I agree.
That's sort of like where I'm thinking, where my brain goes, because it can't really empower... Sorry, my throat's just a bit of a problem at this end of the day. But it can really empower the Olaf, is what I was trying to say before, you know, almost dying.
The Lulu ban is...
Lulu, though, is going to be banned.
It's kind of weird. It almost feels like they don't want to ban either mid laner so they can get the other one. but I don't. That doesn't make sense because they have pick priority. So I actually don't. The Lulu ban it made a lot of sense previously, obviously to stop the Vayne bot lane, but that's not what we're going to see here, and I don't think DRX has any plans to pick the Lulu here as their top laner. But I mean, I suppose there's some things that from scrims that we haven't seen, that we haven't been exposed to yet, as to where Lulu fits into this draft. I'm not going to say it's a wrong pick, but from what we know, it's a bit of an outlier, let's say.
I'd agree. Gonna have some spheres in the mid lane, most likely, but first, the Gragas will be locked in for Kingin. I hope Solko does.
Yeah, LeBlanc would be fun.
That would definitely
I'm down
cool.
for it.
Yeah.
But it looks like no.
Much better than
Syndra. That's why they banned the Lulu, so we get the game that Atlas absolutely does not want to see.
No.
I think Zoe is a really hard sell into this comp. I'm not a huge fan of it. You're gonna have problems getting into poke. Like, this comp is gonna be really slow in team fights. The Gragas cask isn't gonna offer you a whole lot, so a lot of pressure on Solko to actually be a sniper in the side of some of these Baron, Dragon, Rift Herald fights, and to lane against Chovy's Orianna with the Zoe just seems like a really, really, really hard time, to be frank.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that Deft will take cleanse. Vista is on Set. Set actually just naturally pretty good with the Haymaker of avoiding too much damage from these paddle stars after a trouble bubble. And Arthur has Ragnarok, and so he's never going to be stunned or anything like that. Dudu will be picking up the Aatrox in R5. Shout out to our mate LS, who's probably very upset about that particular pickup. But Dudu did very much like the Aatrox, and he's going to choose that as his option into the Gragas on the top.
Yeah, it's one of his comfort picks here, Atlas, and I do think that he's extremely well versed on it. I mean, he's not going to dominate Kingin in this matchup per se, but we'll see how the rotations go. It's Olaf as the jungler. But the big question becomes, like you said, how does this Zoe comp operate around Set, who's going to feel pretty comfortable, pretty fine against this, can hard engage on top of the Zoe if she tries to flank too hard. If she doesn't flank, then she's not going to do that damage. Controlling the vision is going to be super important around these objectives, but Graves into an Olaf, it's hard to actually aggressively go deep in the jungle and get those wards up. You're risking your life every time you try it, so I really prefer Hanwha Life Esports draft here.
Yeah, me too. I also think that, you know, the fact that Olaf keeps up so well with the Graves in the earlier stage of the game, Arthur will be able to play around all of the lane priority that Hanwha Life just get, right? Because they have Chovy, they have Deft, they have these lane prowess players, and Arthur's just going to have free roam and should be able to help Dudu out if he would like to. But honestly, he can do whatever he wants this game. And Hanwha Life, once again, having a very good experience in the draft. I don't think this is as much, you know, of a draft problem over on the DRX side as it was last time. I do like the fact that, you know, Gragas is paired with the Zoe. The disengage plus all of the poke and the chaos that can ensue is definitely strong, as Vista's going to find Becca and will sweep out this ward. So not going to have too much aggression here, as the color coordination of Deft and Vista, very, very nice.
Yeah.
Love it. That's a very important part.
It certainly is. Can't argue against that. Going to be feeling totally in sync as we head into this. And yeah, when you're Vista on Set, you're not afraid of walking into brushes like that. Might as well try to get as much information as you can, get as much vision control as you can early on. Set is so scary to deal with in lane. Can be aggressive, can also help you peel back if you're playing a laner like the Kai'Sa, as Deft is here once again. And yeah, I mean, like, the Zoe here and the win conditions in this game for DRX are a lot more complicated than Game 1, because in Game 1, it was about how much top priority was going to go to the side of Hanwha Life with their Twisted Fate, Camille, and Talia, right? And then they just totally botched their defensive Mordekaiser. This game is more about objective control and more about execution of, like, more complicated, more subtle things in team fights and vision control. So yeah, I don't think this is going to be a draft problem. Wow, Hex Splash.
That is the classic. That's a shout out to iRove, who did just flash level 1 almost every single game when he was playing for Griffin last year, I believe. Every time they played this exact duo, and he'd flash level 1. So Vista, nice work, dude. He's picked up the playbook, and he knows exactly how this one's supposed to go.
He certainly has. And I think it was him who actually played the set versus T1, if I'm not mistaken, and was doing that as well with the Hex Flash, just being super aggressive. Because why not? You're going to be totally fine.
Yeah. And trading set flash for AD flash is always worth it, as Vista's going to get himself a very nice face breaker onto Becca. Unfortunately for Deft, he's unable to actually proc the passive. Becca would have taken a lot of damage there and would have been potentially at threat of death after a flash, but still, that's going to get rid of the exhaust and the flash from Becca, and Life are just going through all of the summoner spells of the DRX bottom.
I thought you were going to say DRX is going through all the stages of grief. We're not at acceptance yet, but yeah. This is anger, and then is it denial? It might be. We might be in denial first. No.
I think it's denial, anger, then. Wait, how many stages are there?
I think we're gonna learn throughout this game how many stages there are of grief potentially.
Is forgetfulness part of it? Because maybe I'm at that stage. I don't know. Well, Deft just going to try and throw some shots out, but right now Life are having a pretty good time, as we do have a bit of a visit by Arthur towards the bottom side, and Deft is doing his best to act as tasty as possible.
Yeah.
As Voidseeker goes wide.
Really nice vision control.
And Olaf's going to leave.
Yeah, and really nice vision control from Vista here as well. So...
yeah.
Again, just trying to set up for these sorts of aggressive roams and engages to be successful if the commitment does go on to Deft, who was, like you said, making himself very attractive to be dove upon, and trying anyways, you know.
Well, now it's going to be DRX's turn, as Vista's going to get caught out. Does have himself his Haymaker, but I don't think it's going to be enough, as Becca's taking a lot of damage. The hook goes wide, but it's going to be first blood over to Pioshik. A much better start for DRX.
I think Pioshik just walked straight through lane, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to watch the replay again to see if I can verify that, but it was a really long walk, and he was showing it from when he backed. We saw the observers showcase that for just a second. So it was a long walk down, and I guess perhaps overextending here Hanwha Life with Deft and Vista because they thought, okay, with this ward, we should be safe no matter what. Let's see if we can get confirmation. Yeah, he just stays, he walks down through lane, does not actually show himself in the ward. There's a lantern set up straight from the beginning. The play is there, and clean up onto Vista. Very nicely done. You can see Becca was even prepped for more, but doesn't connect.
Yeah, and it was a little bit like overly aggressive positioning from Vista without flash as well, which is not what you want, as the Infernal Chains will connect here from Dudu. Shout out to the Darkened Blade on Twitter, who has let us know that bargaining is step 2 of those grief stages. And so maybe Pioshik was saying, if I kill you for first blood, will we now be able to win the series? And so maybe that's going to be the step that was missing, and perhaps it will actually alleviate some of this depression. They can go back to some victories here, because DRX, we know they're slow starters so far in 2021.
Yeah, definitely not the bargain you want for those flash and summer to smell trades early on, but yeah, this is definitely what you want. This is a good deal.
No, that was part of anger. That was part. They were angrily pressing their DNF buttons, and now they're like, no, but what if we just kill you in the bottom lane? That's the bargain.
Well,
I don't want to see what depression looks like though, so maybe we'll just stop with this particular analogy.
Well, Bao is
as this might be it.
Shortest lantern trip ever, but you know, you do what you can.
Whatever works, whatever works. And so far, Deft is very far ahead when it comes to farm. Of course, he wasn't killed on the bottom side, so he was able to just hoover that one up, as Arthur's going to start off this Ocean Drake, and the lane control that we knew was going to happen is still going to be there here for Hanwha Life Esports, as Solka looking for an avenue to get a bubble down, but isn't going to find it onto Chovy.
A lot of pings here, question mark pings from DRX onto the support. Where is Vista? They don't know where he is, and so they don't actually go up to try to do anything towards this Drake. They don't challenge it, despite, you know, the fact that Deft was here alone. They couldn't collapse onto him either, and now they're even going to take this red buff away. And this is just, again, like, it feels like Pioshik is missing some sort of direction as to where he should be roaming or where he should be denying vision. Sure, he had that really long... I'll hold that thought. Wow.
Whoa, that's a big flash from Vista. Beck is just going to be dead as Pyosik has to quick draw himself out of there. But you can see DRX, they want the fight. Kingin comes in, barrel is down, but Dudu's going to land some chains as well. They're broken pretty quickly as Chovy now looking for Solka up towards the top side of this fight. It's broken off as DRX are trying to regroup. Arthur misses the undertow. And Bao doing a fair bit of work here with his Crescendum Calibrum combo. The alliteration there is frustrating, to say the least, but still going to be a win there for Hanwha Life Esports.
It's not as huge as it could have been if things had gone a little bit worse there for DRX, but I mean, this is the idea here, I think, for Hanwha Life is just control vision, be aggressive, take camps away, punish the fact that this is a roster of mostly rookies, and the the most experienced one, Pyosik, who's just come back from Worlds, right, is still struggling to find these rotations, and I think part of that is obviously the Graves pick, you know? I mean, you're not going to be able to play as aggressively as... Ooh, nice cask.
Yeah, speaking of the players with experience, Kingin trying to answer Dudu here this time around in this game. Isn't going to be able to, but did throw a pretty cool barrel that landed, and that's good news. And he's pretty even when it comes to the laning phase as well.
Look at the control wards around the Drake pit right now. They have full vision of that. Vista wanted to maybe even come in here and delay this Herald take. Not going to happen, and I like to see this kind of aggression.
Yeah, flash hook is going to come out. Vista does keep himself alive and face breaks nicely, but it's not going to matter. He does no damage whatsoever, and he will be taken down. So Vista some oopsies so far in this game, and I think he had a few of those times as well in their debut match against T1. So might need to calm down just a little bit.
Hyper aggressive. As this is actually one of those cool combos. Oh, we're going to watch this replay again, which is very aggressive flash, and Becca is unfortunately very, very down on levels. 2 levels down on Arthur, 1 level down on the bot duo, and Kingin warps in here. Soka is just zoned out by Chovy right now, who knew he was trying to rotate in. Dudu is getting hyper aggressive, pushes them away, and Hanwha Life are going to be able to walk out unscathed here. As this is a sleep into the hook, which is always amazing to see. Makes this super easy combo to execute. He's got the lantern as well, just to guarantee that extra follow-up damage. And Vista, yeah, just a little bit out in no man's land. He wanted to see if he could deny the Herald because he knew that's where they were, or at least slow it down. He didn't know the timing they were in terms of that clear, but unfortunately that was a little bit overzealous.
Yeah, I don't know whether Becca needed to flash there, but better to be safe than sorry in these sort of situations, and hindsight is, of course, 2020. So that's fine. Not going to hold that one against him, and looked pretty cool throwing down the lantern and doing that classic Thresh play. As Deft, he's still ahead by over 20 CS, closer to 25. And the Kai'Sa, we know what she can do if she gets fed, and Deft really hasn't been challenged this game as Pyosik is towards the bottom side. Arthur sneaking into this brush. As DRX, they might be playing feeling like they've got their jungler there and might be a bit more aggressive. This could be dangerous.
Question mark ping the river, so they weren't sure. They're playing it very slowly as a result. Now they should know.
Ooh, not quite. Arthur's going to come in with the undertow, and they get the bad news. Facebreaker comes down as Vista might be once again in trouble, but he does avoid the end of the line damage. Def just standing up and taking it and dishing it back towards Pyosik as well, but no one is going to be taken down just yet. Just an Ignite invested on Vista's side. Exhaust still.
Yeah, they use the box as well.
Yeah. All right, Killer Instinct, he's looking to jump onto Pyosik here and does so successfully. The Moonlight Vigil not going to do too much as Vista once again is dead. And you can see Arthur just running forward. The reckless swing is most definitely that, as now Def just trying to rain hell down. But this was not the trade that they wanted. It looked so strange. Bubble not going to connect there onto Def, who flashes out of the way, and the Paddle Star will miss. But still, I don't know, man. That's a bit of a head scratcher.
That was way too aggressive. Def was playing a bullet hell game to try to survive through all those shots that were coming at him from the Zoe, the Aphelios pushing forward there. But yeah, I mean, just a little bit too over aggressive. Box was on cooldown, and that's the only thing that was really otherwise used there in that fight, where you could think, okay, that we should be aggressive here now because we know we can win this fight, we can win this trade. But Rift Herald going to get some extra plates here now. I'm going to see the teleport back into lane from Chovy, and we haven't talked about Chovy too much in this game as stable laner. It sometimes goes unnoticed. He's up in CS significantly at the moment, despite not being able to get any assists or anything like that, or any sort of extra kills onto Ahsoka. So Just remember that he's going to scale.
Yeah, no,
he's going to scale pretty well later on. His team fight prowess is going to be huge later on. This continues.
And also, remember, his one victory so far in the LCK was on the Orianna, and it was this sort of war of attrition type situation where chovy just farms and farms and farms, and then he's just way too strong by the mid to late game, and everything's absolutely fine for Harmful Life. As Dudu and Kingen still just trying to fight this one out. There's Bramblevest going to help Kingen out here, as you can see.
Yeah.
But just some biffo between the burly boys up towards the top side. And now Arthur looking to grab himself a Cloud Drake. We'll see what Soul's going to happen this time. My prediction, an Infernal, which will...
You're just a little bit off tonight, unfortunately.
But
you're always right. So maybe this is actually just you, like, giving a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like, I don't know. Well, we're gonna watch this fight again. As Depth goes in super deep, but actually just unfortunately is rooted immediately, and huge damage coming out from Pyoshik's ultimate there as they just kind of kite back. Arthur does trade one back there, but it's obviously going to be a favorable trade at the end of the day here for DRX. Since Deft almost goes down, the bubble just narrowly misses. He predicts it. Well, he actually has a word there, so that gives him a little bit of extra information. I was gonna say, is that a Jedi or something? Like, no, he just had the word there. He steps forward to dodge and then is able to avoid the extra follow-up damage right after.
Well, this turret is very, very low, but still alive. And they're not going to be able to take that last plate. It is going to fall down before DRX are going to be able to get there. So, there we go. Harmful Life able to save a little bit of money there on their structure, as chovy has already got this one down to half health just by himself. And Arthur is going to steal yet another camp from Pyoshik. Dangerous times, as we got a bit of a heart monitor of a gold graph here.
It's very much back and forth. The gold lead's very small as well, so it's just showcasing how close this game is. But my big issue for DRX is that they haven't been able to showcase that they can effectively control vision, and the game is going to be decided by not this early laning phase and those early roams and trades that we've seen from Vista that have, you know, cost Hanwha Life quite a few hundreds of gold. But more so about these fights around the Drakes that are coming up. Hanwha Life's already up 2 Drakes. The Baron that is spawning in the next 5 minutes. These are the fights that I think DRX needs to be prepared to take, and if we're going to see them do that, the vision control is just going to have to be better than it is right now.
Yeah, especially if they're going to be playing around a Zoe as well, who does love to abuse having extra vision. That's why a lot of our best Zoe players are on also the best teams at playing the macro game, right? Like you talk about Damwon, and Showmaker. That's largely because they know when their opposition are coming, and they can get those bubbles in place and make those fights happen. So I completely agree with you. I think DRX are going to need to step it up, but they do have the capability. It's just whether they're going to be able to execute this time around. And right now, I mean, they have a 200 gold lead. So there you go. That's a slight advantage.
Yeah.
As now you can see Hanwha Life Esports looking for Shirley.
I'm gonna look for a play around this, and DRX will see what they decide to do. I mean, they are using the Aphelios split pressure that you often see with this, where you swap the top lane after you get that bot turret, and it is working out pretty well. Not early enough to get extra plates here for Bao, but still getting a lot of extra laning done here and almost able to get that turret. And that does give them, look at the vision control this push gives them as well, because they've been kind of rotating around this push to make sure that Bao is safe. Gives them a little bit of extra vision around this Shirley, the Rift Herald, as you say. Or the Rift Herald Shirley, as you say, to say it correctly.
I don't even know whether that was correct anymore. I'm really confused, but I liked it regardless. As, yeah, we'll see whether Shirley is actually going to be attacked, as now Kingen and Dudu continuing to battle. And Dudu just wants to get some drugs. That's what he's feeling like. Kingen going to have his share as well. So there we go, boys. Just doing some sharing on the bottom side of the map. Bao, yes, there's a big target on the back of his head. And I think we can all feel it. DRX are going to be leaning on their AD carry to try and get this victory. Aphelios, he can hard carry as Becca. What? That was the wrong direction. That's okay. He didn't have vision in the brush, just trying to see whether that was where he was going.
Notice, too, that while this is all happening, all these trades are happening, who's got a sweeper out? It's Arthur. He's trying to clear all these wards. He got almost all of them. He got all the ones around the Drake, and as that scuttle expires, they will have the vision advantage. Herald, I think I said Drake, but It's been, you know, it's been a few long nights for me this week.
We understood what you mean. We're at the top side of the map. We got it.
So, okay, this is actually going to be, looks like the Herald going over to DRX. HonLife just not able to get close enough to it to deny it.
Yep, and having, you know, Deft back in base, trunghb had a minion wave to deal with, and they're not too worried about it. Not going to be able to get any plates off this Herald. Second Herald is something that I think doesn't need to be fought over, you know. They don't need to worry about it, and they want to be fighting over this Drake that's happening in 15 seconds. So that's where the pings are. You can see red pings towards the dragon, and Dudu with teleport at the ready is going to try and help things out. Deft taking half of his health bar is actually very relevant, given the fact that the dragon has just spawned. Now Solka looking to try and jump on top of Deft, and it's going to be Vista that has to flash now. Hook comes down, and they have to wave goodbye to the set, but I think that was mostly a mistake on Deft's part, as Solka dives on forward, looking for the Kai'Sa, and now this Mountain Drake should be in the hands.
Yeah, they got the scuttle. That's only just going to be vision that they're going to lose this Drake. They also, with that you know, pick, are able to force the Rift Herald to crash into the mid turret, which is going to open up my favorite fact about Zoe that you pointed out yesterday. And this is just the entirety of the map being opened up for DRX. It looked like they were just going to start to fall apart in this game. They weren't controlling vision well enough. They weren't able to set up for big team fights outside of those picks that we had in the early game, and some of the mistakes of Vista that we were both talking about earlier. But now, Atlas, it's like, okay, we're starting to see how this sleep bubble comboing into Thresh is working extremely well for solo targets. They're using these picks to take objectives aggressively, and it feels like there is hope for DRX in this game, and they've taken back control of this game. They have the reins now, as we're going to watch this again, where you say it's a Deft mistake that leads to, unfortunately, a death here of Vista with the sleep hook.
Yeah, Vista sort of like trying to spare the blushes of his 80 carry there. I don't know why Deft was necessarily standing so aggressively far forward with not a lot of information of what was going on the map. But that's okay. They still have an opportunity, HonLife, of getting themselves the next Mountain Drake and setting up that dragon win condition. But giving DRX all of this extra space and some extra kills onto Pyosik is scary, because this Graves does a lot of damage in the later stages of the game. And Arthur hasn't been able to do the classic Olaf thing where he really does pull ahead in the earlier parts. So Pyosik in a good position. This may not be one of those sad Graves in this matchup that we've seen so far this year.
Yeah, seems pretty happy at the moment. That 400 gold lead.
Yeah.
Or 400 gold bounty, excuse me.
Gold bounty. Yeah. But you can see Kingen behind by quite a lot. 30 CS is going to be the lead here for Dudu. He's going to be building towards his Sterix pretty soon. Does have his Gore Drinker already complete. Arthur with his as well. Both of them, in fact, in pretty similar item scenarios. And that 2-item spike is going to be big. And then Chovy's going to be able to make it even scarier with 2 people that he can rest his ball on and really cause a ruckus with that shockwave.
That is the idea, and that's where this team fight, you know, these next few team fights, I should say, for HonLife Esports are going to be kind of revolved around. But right now, the Aphelios got his Kraken Slayer online, and he's ready to fight.
Ooh. Yeah, Gravitum actually going to do a bunch of work here as Chovy not going to survive. Exhaust down as well, as you can see that Arthur, is trying to run away. Not able to do so. And this is a great play out of DRX. They're going to move now over towards the top side of the river. Baron might be on their mind as it spawned a minute ago, and it looks like they're going to start off looking for the big
There's
snowball.
Enough vision here to where HonLife absolutely knows this is happening, but with Arthur dead and no smite, and there's just, the death timers are so long here for the timing of how this works out before the take. There's just nothing they can do to deny, and in fact, DRX is one step ahead. They're like, okay, we're going to try to push mid. DRX is ready to take another fight where they have a numbers advantage.
Yeah, Baron's going to go down in the meantime as Deft Killer Instinct to try and get out of there. And he's just going to have to run for the hills. Dudu trying to fight this one out as Solka picks up a flash, uses it to get away. Dudu doing his very best to try and 1v5, but he only takes one of them. And the Baron is going to remain on 4 members of DRX.
almost game-ending the way that this has turned out, and it's just beautiful play from DRX. The shot calling when it's there for DRX, when they are ready to make big macro decisions, they always make the big explosive decisions that win games. chovy gets caught here, tries to shockwave to turn the fight into, I mean, honestly, frankly, to help him escape. He goes down, this cast takes out the Olaf, so Arthur's dead. They get Baron. And what do they do while they're taking Baron? You know, Life is like, okay, well, we're going to have to get something on the map. We can't just give this Baron up, but we're down 2, we can't fight. They try to push mid, and they're immediately caught. Look at Kingan's teleport. Such presence of mind to know that Life wasn't just going to sit back and lose Baron and do nothing. They pushed mid, so they were already one step ahead. They were ready to punish this rotation in the mid. They still get Baron because of how fed the Graves is. On DRX's side, Kyoshik is ready to finish that off by himself, smite it away. And this is just a really great late game decision. I mean, we're pushing into the late game here now, but a Baron, this choice made at 22 minutes that really almost locks this game down for DRX now.
Yeah, feeling really good for them. I mean, chovy still exists. He's got a 50 CS advantage. He's 30 CS ahead of the clock, close to 40. But I don't know whether it's going to be enough here. Life definitely not out of it just yet. It's not the same kind of shutout that we saw in game number 1. But still, it's looking worrying. Close to level 15 as Kingan, he's going to move into advantage when it comes to experience. Deft in a side lane, just trying to do his best as well to get what he can. Arthur going to soak a huge battle star as DRX are going to easily take down this inner turret. Deft, yeah, you're not going to be able to grab that without any minions as Dudu and Kingan are trying to fight this one out. Gore Drinker going to help keep Dudu alive for a little bit, but there is a Bramble Vest, and now World Ender comes forward, and DRX, the cavalry comes through, and Dudu is just dead.
I think we're going to a game 3, Atlas. Starts to feel like it. Deft finally gets that, minion wave, and there are pings coming down from DRX about the potential inhibitor that he might steal away, but if DRX can just send one back to defend and grab 2, that would be their aim. Is actually no one is going back, and there's not actually... I don't know if this is the right decision for DRX, because they don't have the minion waves to actually get an inhibitor right now, even with the Baron buff, it's fading away. This ended up being pretty amazing for Deft.
That was so strange, because it felt like DRX weren't actually keen on diving in the 5v4. And actually, it was a 5v3 as they were trying to siege the turret. They're going to be able to take their second Mountain Drake, so that's definitely good news. But Deft is going to get out of there, and he managed to take that inhibitor turret. Not the inhibitor, of course. Don't want to get frozen on or anything like that, but still, I mean, could have been worse for Life. Yeah. They are behind about 3,500 gold.
DRX's comp doesn't have a great way to siege. If they can get on top of turrets, obviously Bao can do a million damage as Aphelios, but until they get to the turrets or the inhibitors themselves, it is kind of slow going. And they decided they wanted to commit hard, and Life get a small little consolation prize in that inhibitor turret in the top lane. The next Drake fight is obviously a ways away now. So Life Esports, the question becomes, what do they try to do here? What objectives do they try to fight over with a big Shockwave team fight? There's not much going for them, unfortunately, at this moment in time. There's not really anything they can look to grab, look to force any sort of team fights here. So we're going to go into a lull state in this game.
Yeah, it's looking like it. But maybe that's going to help Life, as chovy just wants to get to 3 items as quickly as possible. Seraph's Embrace is actually a big moment for the Orianna, where chovy is going to be able to eat through these health bars very, very quickly. And Deft, I think, will be pretty close to his Runan's Hurricane as well, which will be item number 3. So slowly but surely, they are getting their carries online. But like you say, DRX are doing the same thing. We've got Infinity Edge, Kraken Slayer, Runans on Bao. That is exactly what you want to do the maximum damage possible, and to get it at this stage of the game feels really, really good.
I think one of the...
And
that was one of the things that is scariest here for Life is Vista. It's actually got... Oh, hold that thought. Arthur's going to take a chunk of damage. Let's get out of there. But, you know, he has Shurelius now, and he can do a lot to set up a fight with chovy, so they just need to be careful about getting engaged on, but otherwise, I feel like they just macro win this game and play slow.
Well, that's what they're going to try and do. Heading up here, grabbing this inner turret on the bottom side. Dudu, he's the one that's going to be split pushing this time around, as the mid wave is going to get ushered in as well, as the solo lanes from DRX are here. Now just going to move on over and try and take this top lane turret down as Vista flashes in once again. Gets himself the Haymaker shield, and I'm used to saying this. Vista is going to go down. Moonlight Vigil not going to connect, as Arthur's just going to get collaterally damaged to death, and the inhibitor will also fall
Maybe
down.
just push for the game here. They've got a wave, and they have a Aphelios. They can at least push down these turrets, no question. I mean, I don't see any way that this gets defended by Honda Life Esports. They need a miracle here. I mean, what are you shockwaving for?
There's no Baron, so these minions are killable. We'll see whether Chovy's going to be able to get the work done. Deft is going to start off this fight, but immediately he's exhausted. Bao walks back into a turret shot, but he's going to survive. And now the Nexus turret will get taken down. Low Chovy with the shockwave gets the help of the fountain, but it just doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Vista once again just running on in there to die once more as Dudu, they need to stop them from killing this Nexus, but it's just going to go 28 minutes into the game, and DRX clap back against Hanwha Life.
Very impressive game from DRX. We're going to a game 3, and this is a team that it feels like oftentimes don't take risks. They often